Deadpool completely wrecking goons on the highway, the Avengers teaming up to raid Strucker's base, and Apocalypse's horsemen literally dying to save him. Sometimes the opening sequence of a movie is actually better than the entire film itself. The opening scene is incredibly important. It tells us exactly what's at stake, what the actual threat level is, and gives us a feel for the world we're about to step into. How a movie hooks you, how it shifts your entire mood. All of that weight rests on the opening scene. And superhero movie openings operate on a totally different level. Today, we are ranking the absolute best of them. What's up, guys? Today we're ranking the top 10 superhero movie opening scenes. And don't worry, we're keeping this spoiler-free. Let's get into it. X-Men Apocalypse has an opening scene that is literally better than the rest of the movie. We meet the very first mutant in the X-Men universe, Sabah Nur, famously known as Apocalypse. At the very beginning, we see Apocalypse and his 4 horsemen preparing to transfer his aging essence into a new mutant body that possesses a rapid healing factor. But right in the middle of it, some of his worshippers betray him and trigger a trap to destroy him. This is where we see the absolute peak of loyalty. In prehistoric Egypt, his loyal horsemen give everything they have in their final moments to protect their god. They know they're going to die in the process, but they give 100% to delay his death. Even as she's being crushed, the Horseman of Death manages to create a shield around Apocalypse so that he can eventually return. The crazy part? The new horsemen he chooses in the modern world aren't even 1% as loyal as the original crew. Alright, getting back to the list, let's talk about The Batman. I would call the opening of this movie peak comic book cinema. It's split into 2 parts. First, we have the Riddler brutally taking out Gotham's mayor, Don Mitchell Jr. Second, we get Batman's epic entrance, accompanied by his inner monologue. That narration alone is an absolute treat for comic book fans, because that's exactly how the classic Batman comics start. But there's another layer here, the darkness. Every criminal out on the streets doing something sketchy is constantly looking over their shoulder into the shadows. That's exactly how this Batman operates. He even says, fear is a tool. The bad guys are terrified that the Batman is going to step out of the dark, and then he actually does, making sure everyone knows exactly who he is. But the craziest part is that his use of fear even affects the normal citizens. The guy he literally just saved looks at him and begs, "Please don't hurt me." It's brilliant because the events of this entire movie force Batman to change his mindset. He realizes he can't just be a symbol of fear, he has to be a symbol of hope, which pays off beautifully at the end of the film when a rescued little girl refuses to let go of him. The 12-minute opening of Avengers Age of Ultron is, in my opinion, one of the hardest openings in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. You've got Captain America flipping his motorcycle into Strucker's soldiers, Thor just casually wrecking guys at half strength, Hulk smashing straight through a bunker, and Iron Man blasting everyone in his high-tech armor. And the icing on the cake is that iconic slow-motion tracking shot of all the Avengers attacking together. You can criticize Joss Whedon for Justice League all you want, but the continuous comic book-style team shots he gave us in Avengers are totally unmatched, and it just keeps going. Thor uses Cap's shield for a massive shockwave, exactly like they did when they first fought in the woods in the first movie. Wanda hits Tony with a vision that triggers his New York trauma. Quicksilver knocks down Hawkeye and drops the classic "You didn't see that coming" line. And it wasn't just action. When Tony drops a curse word and Cap instinctively yells "language," it was hilarious. The sequence just doesn't stop. Natasha calming the Hulk down, Cap taking out Strucker, Tony putting his suit in Sentry mode, and for us Iron Man fans, seeing him summon just the gauntlet to grab Loki's scepter was an absolute treat. The opening of X-Men Days of Future Past drops us right into a bleak, apocalyptic future where Sentinels exist, machines so advanced that it is mathematically impossible for the mutants to win.
We see some incredibly powerful mutants here. You've got an Omega-level mutant like Iceman, Blink with her insane teleportation portals, Warpath's raw determination, and Colossus's brute strength. But even giving 100%, it means nothing against these Sentinels. The Sentinels aren't there to fight, they are there to exterminate. Every single hit is a kill shot. Just when it feels like all hope is completely lost, we get the Kitty Pryde twist. Her upgraded powers allow someone to send their consciousness back in time to their younger self to warn the team, literally erasing the timeline right before they all get wiped out. It perfectly sets up the terrifying stakes for the rest of the movie. Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy is nothing short of cinematic art, and the openings of these films are just as legendary, especially The Dark Knight. This opening is also basically split into two vibes. First, we get a solid 6 minutes introducing the Joker as he pulls off a highly unconventional mob bank heist, systematically manipulating and taking out his own crew. It instantly establishes that the Joker's mind operates on a completely different, terrifying wavelength. On the flip side, we have Batman busting up a drug deal with the Scarecrow while also dealing with guys dressed in hockey pads trying to copy him. The Batman segment shows the impact he's having on both the citizens and the criminals of Gotham, while the Joker segment introduces an agent of pure chaos, ready to consume both the good and the bad sides of the city. Honestly, it makes me want to go rewatch it right now. Now, Deadpool 2 had a decent opening, and Deadpool and Wolverine had a wildly cool opening with him digging up Logan's adamantium skeleton, fighting the TVA, and dancing to NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye. But even that doesn't touch the opening of the very first Deadpool movie. Deadpool is all about maximum effort, and that is exactly what this scene is. It starts in the most hilarious way possible with the spoof opening credits mocking everyone who worked on the film. Then we see Deadpool jump into a moving SUV, beat the living crap out of a bunch of armed goons, and he does it all while trying to accomplish a specific task, taking out all the bad guys using only 12 bullets. And he actually pulls it off, even after totally wasting 5 of them. The choreography here is beautiful. He's counting down the bullets, he's aiming at a live grenade, he's shooting from the floor between his own legs, and the absolute best part is when he lines up 3 guys and takes them all out with a single shot. This one scene easily rivals the best action sequences in the entire franchise. The beginning of Avengers Infinity War violently clears up exactly what the threat level is going to be. As an audience, we always knew the Avengers had one literal god on the roster and one ultimate heavy hitter, the Hulk. But in the first 5 minutes of Infinity War, Thanos casually beats the brakes off both of them. His Black Order slaughters half the surviving Asgardians. This scene makes it crystal clear what Thanos is capable of. Even though we didn't see it on screen, we know he just came from completely decimating Xandar to get the Power Stone. And he wasn't just beating up Asgardians for fun, he was there for the Tesseract, which Loki had. Heimdall manages one last act of bravery, sending the Hulk to Earth to warn Doctor Strange, and the scene ends with that chilling, iconic line, "Thanos is coming." Up until now, we've talked about shocking, epic, action-packed openings. But an opening scene also sets the emotional mood for the whole ride. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse are the perfect examples. Into the Spider-Verse starts with introducing us to Earth 1610's Peter Parker, who confidently tells us he's the one and only Spider-Man. Then we meet Miles, dealing with a new school, hanging out with his uncle, and eventually getting bitten by that radioactive spider. But where a normal opening scene is maybe 10 or 12 minutes, Across the Spider-Verse pushes the envelope and gives us a massive 20-minute prologue. We don't even start with Miles, we start with Spider-Gwen. It pulls us into her moody watercolor world, shows us how much she misses her friends, throws her into a fight with a Renaissance-era vulture, and introduces Miguel O'Hara's multiverse team. Miguel makes it very clear that the Kingpin Collider incident from the first movie is what's causing all these anomalies. But my absolute favorite moment here is Gwen straining with everything she has to stop that helicopter from falling into the crowd. That right there is the true essence of being a Spider-Man, putting your life on the line to save people. Zack Snyder gave us an absolute visual masterpiece with Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and I personally think it's one of his best works. While Man of Steel showed us the destruction of Metropolis strictly from Superman's perspective as he tried to save the world from Zod, BVS shifts the camera entirely to Bruce Wayne.
Bruce isn't looking at what Superman is trying to do. He's looking up at the sky and seeing a literal god whose mere existence is a massive threat to humanity. It is an incredibly powerful sequence. We get flashes of Bruce's childhood, showing how he overcame his fear of bats, only to be faced with a brand new, unimaginable fear falling from the sky. This is the exact trauma that pits Batman against Superman. And by the time Batman finally realizes that Superman isn't a threat, but a beacon of hope, it's almost too late. The opening of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 literally makes you feel what it's like to swing through New York City. It is so iconic. The shot of the wind rippling across his suit as he free falls has been copied in almost every Spider-Man video game and animated show since. But the swinging is actually the second half of the opening. It starts with a tense flashback showing Peter's parents on the run, fighting for their lives on a plane before they are killed. Then, it smash cuts to the present day with that incredible swinging action. Peter is casually stopping Alexei Sitsevich from stealing Oscorp plutonium, saving civilians, telling Max Dillon that he matters, and still managing to make it to his high school graduation just in time. This 9.5-minute opening is absolutely jam-packed with action, heroism, classic Spider-Man quips, and if you pay close attention, it drops major visual hints about Gwen Stacy's tragic fate later in the film. Now, I know there are a few more that probably could have made the list, like the Blade blood rave, the Wolverine surviving the atomic bomb, or even that incredible montage of the brothers fighting through history in X-Men Origins Wolverine. And honestly, who could forget the opening of Thor Ragnarok? But I want to hear from you guys. Out of all these openings, which one is your absolute favorite? Or is there a massive one that you think I completely missed? Let's talk about it down in the comments below. If you liked the video, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much. Peace.